Hey guys, and welcome to this quick course. In this course, we're going to make this love potion inside Blender with subdiv modeling, some particle system, and render the whole thing with Cycle Render Engine. So let's get started. When you open up the Blender for the first time, you will present with this pop-up thingy right here. And this is called splash screen, as you might know. And the only thing I need to change right here is the spacebar action to search, because I search more than play with the animation. That's my choice. So all of these we can change later when we go into the preferences. So just click here, and this is the Blender for you. So before do anything, I'm gonna go to the window menu right here and toggle window full screen, so we get rid of this top annoying waste of space right there. Now that's full screen. All right, I want to go quickly on everything you need to know before starting this course. So everything necessary and nothing else. We have the viewport right here. With the viewport comes navigation. You need to navigate in this viewport. So let's go over moving, pan, and rotating in this scene. So we have the hotkey of middle mouse button for rotation. All right, shift middle mouse for the panning, and control middle mouse for zoom, or simply zoom with your mouse wheel. All right, if you zoom really back and wanted to go and focus on the active object, you just need to hit the period key on your numpad key, or hit the home button right there on your keyboard. So shift for pan, control for zoom or scroll, and middle mouse for the rotation. So that's pretty much the navigation. All right, so let's go ahead and walk through here in the view menu to the header. This one is called header. If you right click on it right here, it says show header, show tool setting, and menu. You can flip the header to the bottom or flip it back to the top right there. So let's go to the header and view and navigation. You will find all the navigation hotkeys right here. So if you have numpad key on your keyboard, you have access to orbit around the mesh by numpad 4 all the way to 9. And you have the pan right here, and zoom in, zoom out, numpad plus, numpad minus, zoom to region by shift and B. So drag and zoom. This is another way to zoom on any region. All right. To the view, we have also the camera. So we have the control numpad 0 and active camera numpad 0. So this is the camera right here to the scene. And if I hit numpad 0 right now, I'm going to be in the camera view right there. All right. Another way to move around the 3D scene in the Blender is this right here. This set of tools, this is for zoom. If you click on it and hold, you can zoom, and you can pan by this one, and you can go to the camera by this one. Also below that we have the orthographic and perspective view. So let's delete everything that's a tradition to delete everything in the Blender, and immediately shift A, add another cube. So that was the view for you. We have the usual suspect up here, the main menu, the Blender menu right here, splash screen, just like before, and help and about Blender and other stuff. And after that, we have the file to make new scenes, new projects and open your project, or go to your recent project and save as. The only important thing down here, besides all the things up here, we have the default scene. We're gonna get back to that later when we making our own startup scene. All right, right next to that we have the edit. Undo, redo, and undo history are the important things. All the way down here we have the preferences. We're gonna get back to that in a minute. And the other menus, we have render image F12 and render animation control F12. So those are important right there. And below the menu, we have the header, as I mentioned before. And all the way to the left side right here is the editor type. So this 3D view considered as editor, some kind of editor. So you can change this to anything you want. Let's say you wanted the 3D viewport replaced by a shader. No problem. Just hit the shader right there. So let's say geometry node and image viewer and other stuff. So let's keep it on the 3D view for now. Right next to that, we have the object mode. So this object right now is in the object mode, as you see right here. But we have another modes. Edit mode is the next one. So when you open up the edit mode, you actually put your mesh into edit, and you have access to all the good stuff to make whatever you want. So we're gonna get back to that in another video. Below that, sculpt mode and vertex paint and weight paint. We're gonna work with the object mode and edit mode only in this course. All right, back to object mode. Similar to this modes right here, we have workspaces right here. Right now, we are in layout tab, and this is the general tab. So notice when I switch to modeling, the timeline's gone and some other stuff in the viewport. Let's see if I switch to that, property getting bigger and timeline's gone, and immediately it switched to edit mode. So this is nothing but a preset made by Blender team. We're gonna make a preset in a second. So next to that we have the sculpt mode. Just like the editing, it put our mesh to the sculpt with all the good stuff right here. Property for your brush and all the brushes, and also some settings right here. And similar to that, we have UV and shading and other stuff. But it doesn't mean you can't sculpt right here. If you go to the mode and switch to edit mode, you can edit right here in the layout, or go to sculpt mode and sculpt right here with the timeline down here. So those are here to make your life a little bit easier and to have access to all the needed tools. So let's go ahead and down here, the scripting, right click and, oh no, let's go layout. Right click and make a duplication right here. So if you double click on that, you have another tab. Let's go 0, 1. All right. So let's go ahead in the 3D view up here, right here, grab and drag and make another view. Or right in between them, right click and let's go down here. Right click and make horizontal view right there. Those viewports are independent. So if I go to this viewport and let's say right click on header and hide the header, and for this panel, this called tools. So the hotkey for that is T. So if I hit T, I'm gonna hide that for now. Or let's go put this one to the render stage right there. So now I have a render in this viewport, and let's say I want this one to be in front view. All right, and this one in perspective. So this is the way to make a preset. So after that, you need to go and make it at default startup. All right, I don't want to do that. Let's talk about the viewports. So this is the perspective viewport. We have some orthographic viewports. So let's go find them. And here, viewports in the view menu. We have camera view, numpad 0. We have top, numpad 7. Control, numpad 7 is the bottom, the opposite one. And front, right, combined with control, the opposite one. So let me go hit numpad 1 and period on numpad, and that's going to be our front view. You can see right here in this little information up here, we have the front orthographic and 1 cube and 10 centimeters the size. So let's go ahead and top view and maybe camera view, or I just deleted the camera, so it's an opportunity to add another camera. And how to add anything to the scene is to go to the add menu up here. You see camera, lights, and primitive mesh, or hit Shift A and add that right here. So add a camera, and now we have camera. But where is it? Right in the middle, right there. So if you wanted to select anything in this overlapping situation, you just need to hold Alt and click. So Alt click and select menu is gonna be opened up for you. Select your camera and move it with these tools right there. So now we have the camera right there, and let's go talk about these tools then. We have the tool, as I said, mentioned before, we have the T hotkey for that. So we have some selecting tools. So box select, circle select, and lasso select, and move, a move gizmo, and rotate, scale, and also combination of those three. Below that, we have the annotate tool. It's good for making text and in advanced situation, making some lines, and it's also good for retopology. Let's go ahead and get rid of these lines by holding left click and annotate eraser right here, or simply go to another panel and called N panel. Hit N on your keyboard and N panel will be open up in the view down here, annotation, and this is your annotate right there. You can change the color and also opacity, thickness, and delete. Below that we have the measurement, and it's good for the name says measure. So down here, right here, we get some information about the tool. So if I click, you see the information will change. It says hold control for snapping. So let's go hold control and we'll snap to the edge, and you call that 2 meter. Similar to annotation right here, you can delete that as well. All right, and another way to make anything to the scene is this little thing here that nobody uses. Hold your mouse and add cube. Up here you have the depth option on the surface, cursor onto view. So let's go ahead and drag, hold shift, and right there you have another cube. After making anything or do any operation, you have access to this menu right here. So this menu, a temporary setting, it helps you to change the operation or primitive added. If you by any chance lost that after clicking on anything else, you just need to hit F9 and get it back. But it's a one-time thing, so if you lose it, you lose it. All right, to see the item position, location, rotation. In the M panel, go to the item. This is the location, rotation, and scale. So let's talk about the scale. So if you change any scale in the scene right now, let me get rid of this one by hitting delete or hit X. It's gonna ask you, yeah, are you sure? Yep. Let's select this one. So right now it says a scale 1, 1, 1, and that means a scale of 1 to 1. You need to have a scale of 1 to 1 when you're adding a lot of operations or even sculpt. So keep the mesh at the 1 to 1 scale at any time. So if I hit S for a scale and make that bigger, that's gonna make it in this scale. So this is the new scale. But if I bring this one to a sculpt, my brush is gonna act really strange and make some strange stretching and all sorts of artifacts. So to avoid that, at all time, keep your scale 1 to 1. So to do that, you need to just hit on Control A hotkey on your keyboard and reset the transform or just scale. And now it's back to 1 to 1 scale. So this is the new 1 to 1 scale. All right, let's go for selection right here in the header. Select menu, and first one is A for select everything. So if I have another mesh in my scene, and let's do that by duplicating this one, and duplication hotkey is Shift D. So duplicate and move it. Let's go here. So if I go here to selection and hit A, so A, it's gonna select everything, even the camera inside that. Now let me put the camera out right there. So A is for select everything, and Alt A deselects everything. Or simply hit A and click anywhere else, and that's gonna deselect it. So let's see what else we have here. We have the let's see, more and less. Yeah, here we have the Control Numpad Plus for growing the selection in the edit mode, of course, and less Control Numpad minus, so shrink the selection, and select the parent, child, all the good stuff right here. And if worth mentioning, if you hover over anything right there, we have a tooltip, view all object in scene, or move the view to the selection center. We have useful information right there. So let's go add is the Shift A hotkey, adding mesh, primitive meshes right here, curves, and let's say armature, lattice, and other stuff. Light and camera are the other more important things. So later on, when we doing our model right here, the potion, the love potion kinda, we will use some primitive right here and maybe curve and also some light and cameras. So next to that we have the object, and transform is the important one right now. So it says GRS. So let's discover that. If I grab a mesh or select a mesh and hit G. G means grab. G is a hotkey for grab. So can grab and move my mesh, and left click is the conform action. So if I hit G and pay attention to this status bar down here and see the changes, let's hit G. A lot of useful information down here. So it says XYZ to conform to an axis. So if I hit G followed by X, it's gonna lock that to X axis, or let's go Y or Z axis right here. So let me go back, and by going back I mean Control Z. So grab that by G, and this time let's go Shift Z, and this time the Z axis is off limits, or let's go Shift Y, and we can't no longer go to the let's say Y axis. So similar to that, we have the R key for rotation. All right, and Control Z, let's go S for scale. Right click is the cancellation of the action. So left click is confirm, right click is the cancel. So another way to lock the movement to the axis is to, let's say, G for grab, is to holding the middle mouse button. So if I go towards the y-axis, it's gonna lock to the y, goes towards the z-axis, and similar to that, x-axis is gonna lock to that one. So that was the movement and end panel, and we have some transform orientation up here, and global, local, normal. We're gonna use them in the course, as I mentioned before, the when we making this bottle. And the pivot points, the median points is the one we're gonna use, and some snapping. I'm not sure if we're gonna use snap or not, but it's good to know. If I switch to grid and hit the shift tab or select this and G, right now I'm snapping to grid right there. And similar to that, other options, increments and vertex, edge, and other stuff. And the proportional editing, yeah, we're gonna work with that a lot. So proportional editing is good for selecting, for example, one edge. In this case, let's go grab a vert and hit O to make it activate, and G to move it. And we have a circle right here. This circle is the affecting area by proportional editing. If I scroll up, now I'm affecting more areas, and less affecting less. Right there. All right, that's that. Right, down here we have the selectivity and visibility. All the meshes, selectable or not, can change that right here, and all the meshes visible or not, or similar to that, curve, surface, and other objects. So after that, viewport overlay, so can hide, unhide some of these overlays, such as x-axis, y-axis, z-axis, and floor and grid in the orthographic views. Also, we have the scale of the grid right here, and let's say wireframe for geometry, and face orientation for normal orientation. We're gonna work with that later. And let's say, yeah, nothing else. After that, we have the X-ray view, and it's good to, let me duplicate this one, and it's good for selecting something behind other things. So if I select one and click one more time, I can select the mesh behind, or let's go to the edit mode. Let's go right there. So if I have the, let me grab the camera, delete it. If I have the X-ray enabled, and the hotkey is Alt-Z, by the way, if I have the X-ray enabled and drag and select, I'll be able to select the vert or edge or face behind. But if it's disabled and drag, that's not gonna select. So keep that in mind. So selecting things that you can't see, you need to have the X-ray enabled. We have the wireframe right there, and solid view, texture view, and render view. So we're gonna work with that later as well. All right. To the right, we have the outliner, all the meshes, and collections, and all the camera stuff. It's gonna store right here. You can make new collections by right clicking and hit new, double click or hit F2 to change the name, or simply grab a mesh here inside viewport and hit M in the object mode. Obviously hit M and create new collection, or put this one, this 2, to collection 2. So those are moved to collection 2. So changing the names can be done in the scene with F2. So grab your object and hit F2 and change the name right here. So that's gonna be it. Let's go down here and this one called properties. So here we have all the properties for all the tools or objects stored. Right here we have the tool property and that vary by mode you are in or tool you're selecting. Below that we have the render and render setting and all the good stuff. We're gonna work with the material, a little bit of data setting and a lot of modifiers, word for lighting and render settings. And down here we have the timeline, obviously. Play and your timeline is running. All right, that was the quick introduction to the viewport and UI. So let's go ahead and reset everything by going to File and New General. Don't save and make a startup, custom startup UI. So I'm gonna get rid of all of these. So box select and X or delete. And let's go ahead and go to the front view. I'd like to start the Blender from front view. So we talked about the hotkeys in the numpad, but there's another hotkey, and that's gonna be the tilde key. So you have the top, front camera, and other angles right there. So let's go to the front, and let's change the render engine right here to cycle, the more accurate render engine, and change the device to GPU. And let's say, yeah, that's pretty much it. And maybe let's get rid of this panel. So either close it or right click in between, join areas and swipe down. So that's it. Let's go to the file and go to default and save this one as a startup file. Click and overwrite. Next time you open up the Blender General, it's gonna open up in this custom view. All right, so let's go and talk a little bit about the operations and modifiers we're gonna use in this course.